notes as people kind of arrive. Just prepping a little bit of an agenda here. So. And you just want to let me know when the whole crew's here? I don't know who. I know that Tommy had emailed and said he can't make it.
Yeah, Sebastian won't be able to make it either.
Okay.
Ash is trying to join, but he's having connectivity issues right now. It says he's in the waiting list to join.
Oh, there's Ash. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I believe that's everyone.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hello, Ash.
How are you doing?
Good. Good. Welcome. Okay, so we've got. Let me just make some notes here. We've got the 5 of you guys, and we've got Tommy and who else can't make it?
Sebastian.
Sorry, say that again.
Sebastian.
Sebastian. Okay. So let's just make it as a note. I'd love to discuss at the end of the call if there is a time that works for both. Well, all the 5 on the call, and then also if we can get Sebastian and Tommy on the call, that'd be great. Okay. I'll start just with a little intro about me, and then if we want to just go around, and I don't know if I'm stepping on toes, like if it's someone's role within the group to kind of be the chair and facilitate this conversation. I've chaired enough meetings in my life. I don't need to do that, but I can do that if it helps the team. Okay, great. So, yeah, my name is Chris Diplock. I've been very curious and kind of into the circular economy, sharing economy in BC for kind of a lot of the past, what's now 13 years, starting in 2011, being the co-founder of the Vancouver Tool Library. Did a lot of research in the sharing economy in 2013 in partnership with the Vancouver Foundation and Man City and the City of Vancouver. 2017 convinced the City of Vancouver to pilot a series of shipping container lending libraries that were deployed throughout the city in 3 locations, and simultaneously was working on a site in New Westminster as well as Northland. So that all wrapped up 2022, and since then we've been working pretty exclusively with a property developer named Concert Properties, but we're open to other property developers to and we installed a new site at Concert. Their community at Collingwood Village, so that's kind of Joyce Collingwood Station for those of you that know that area. And one of the cool things we got to do with that is deploy a kind of a locker system with some microcontrollers, and that's been on our list for a while. And when we launched that back in February of this year, 2024, we had a lot of interest from various other property developers. So we're in conversation with a couple of them to grow the initiative into those new spaces. So it's definitely, I think, a business model with a lot of potential. We've pivoted in a way that I think is much more flexible and dynamic, with lockers being kind of modular and in that sense more scalable. You can imagine not everybody wants a shipping container on the street, particularly in a place like Vancouver. Actually, not a lot of cities like no cities really like you taking up traffic spaces, but our parking spaces. So that's currently kind of where we're at. You guys are coming at an interesting time because we've also got a couple other student groups that we're collaborating with. We're collaborating with a bunch of students at UBC's MBA school. We meet with them on Friday, and on Friday we will be kind of chatting with them about how they can do a lot of customer segment exploration. So, it might line up well. I don't know where we're at with the team in terms of UX UI research. It'd be interesting if maybe when you introduce yourself, we could kind of touch on some skill sets as well. But yeah, you guys are coming in at a time. We got UBC students. We've also got Langara coming in with their makerspace. They're helping us actually redesign the materials we're using to build these lockers. We want them to be more sustainable. We want them to be more wear resistant. So we're looking at what we can do material wise to get things out, something that can be outside. Let me just show you. I don't know if everyone's perused the website, but maybe just before we jump into who you guys are as a team, and I am curious, I'll just show you. Can everyone see this?
Yes, yeah, I can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the site we have at Concert Properties. So when we're talking about the Thingery we have, so this is our locker system, and this is our non-locker system. This is probably what we're going to grow, kind of centered around this. But as you can imagine, it's hard to fit certain things in a locker. You don't really want to spend your time putting a folding table in a locker. It's there's no point really. So we also have always thought about how we integrate this dowel board system. So this is kind of a dynamic way of, you can move shelves up and down, various depths, various heights to kind of accommodate to a changing inventory. Yeah, why don't I leave it there? That's a little bit of where we're at. Lots of good things happening. I did get to work with an ISSP team in the fall of last year. Yes, the spring of last year in 2023. They were fantastic. We got a lot done. You guys are going to get some really thorough developer notes from them. They did a really good job with notes, in my opinion. Probably, maybe you don't get all the same case but I think they did a really good job. Let's just leave it there. Tell me a little bit about you if you want to talk about your name. Are you guys all in the same maybe year of this program? Yeah. You are? Okay. And maybe kind of talk about what kind of skill sets you're familiar with. For me, I really like to understand in the team, maybe the distinction between just familiarity with programming languages, all that kind of stuff, and maybe also UX UI design, because that's a huge piece. We've done a lot of that work. You'll be happy to know that this app has a very thorough user journey, which has been iterated 3 or 4 times. It's complete. It's in Figma. It's in good shape, but it's always nice to know how people approach UX UI. Aiden, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Aiden Denike. I'm a term 3 student, or going into term 3, and that's true for everyone, I believe, except Tommy, which is the term 4 student. I'd say, like, in general, there's been a couple core focuses of the program so far. There's obviously the coding side, and then the IT side, which is more about like greater system networks. And then we had a little bit of UX UI design, where we walked through the basics. Like we made up a full mock application. I personally made a medication tracker app, and then that was, I believe, also through Figma.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Great. Who wants to jump in next?
I can go next if needed. My name's Ash. My full name's Ash Tojatfalia, but Ash is for short. And basically, I'm also a Term 3 student. I'm in the same class as Aiden. I've taken up UI UX, and there's some courses. My programming languages that I prefer is Python, of course, but I'm open to learning other languages. I've done C++ studies over in the summers just to get some idea of how languages work. And yeah, I also did a summer co-op. I had a system admin. That's what I did for 4 months. And my co-op is finished now, so I'm back to school. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this project.
Cool. That's great. Thank you. Who's next?
I can try going next.
Great.
All right. Hi, I'm Marcus. I'm in set A, so the same set as Andre and Rajveer. Mostly done web development stuff, so stuff with Node and Python, so Flask, Node. I've done some UI UX, making wireframes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about. I'm not very experienced with programming. I wouldn't say that's my skill. I'm more like, I think I'm better at like communication and just writing and working with people. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to be here and excited to see where this project will go and all the stuff I'll learn. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, no problem.
Andre.
Hello.
Oh, Rajveer. Sorry.
No, it's all right. My name is Rajveer, and as Marcus told that I'm in the same set as Andre and Marcus, but me, Ash, Aiden, and Sebastian are also in the same term. So what we've covered till now is programming languages such as JavaScript, Node.js, Express.js, Python, and other things. We also did the UI UX course, as Aiden mentioned. But also we have done this agile project development where we worked in groups of team and sprints where each team developed their own website or app, which we later presented. So yeah, I think that's my skills and I'm looking forward to work with.
Great. Thank you. And last but not least, Andre.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Andre, and I'm in the same set as Rajveer and Marcus, same term as well with everyone. And so far, I have been interested in learning new languages and also in different ways where we also code with network and servers as well. That one interested me the most. One thing that I really enjoy is learning something new. And seeing this project is covering different languages and different concepts. I really like that. And so I think I'll also have fun with this project. And I hope to see that I will also grow as well doing this.
Awesome. Yeah, there's no shortage of stuff to do here. Let me tell you. Well, thanks for the intro, everyone. I guess one of the things I didn't ask, which I meant to, when you guys have worked together in the past, oftentimes programming, they talk about kind of the agile methodology. There's some form of sprint cycling. I don't know if you've gone through any training with agile, but one of the first questions is like, they always say it's either agile or like you use it all to the T or it's not agile methodology. I am not as strict as that. I do think sprint cycles are useful, whether or not it's design sprint cycles or programming sprint cycles. Everyone seemed to be nodding their head. Is everyone pretty much familiar with sprint cycles?
Yes, I believe for us to take this course, we all had to complete a 5-week project through using Scrum.
Okay, so you have a lot of Scrum language familiarity. Okay, that's good stuff. So sometimes I act as a little bit of a maybe product owner, you might say. If you're looking at kind of where the hats fall in a Scrum team. The product owner oftentimes is also, sometimes they're communicating to stakeholders. So they're taking the stakeholder needs and they're turning around and they're talking kind of to the Scrum Master and the team and dabbling in intermittently. So some of it is Scrum Mastering where I'm actually trying to motivate the team. I think for me, ideally, it sounds like you guys are quite familiar with the hats. It would help me and I'm going to leave a lot of this conversation for you guys internally, just to come back to me with. But if those are hats you guys want to wear for experience, right? I can step back. I feel that we've got a really good user journey. We've got pretty good notes. We've got pretty good code. we've got the system set up. We're in a space where I feel like I know it well enough that I'm willing to kind of let go of that and step back a little further. So when you guys are thinking about who's wearing what hat as you kind of look at this project, just to, for example, how Marcus was like, I might not be jumping in reviewing code, but I've got these other interests I'm in, you know, and that's going to be you guys to kind of navigate yourselves and come back to me and go, just for an example, I'm not picking on you, Marcus, but like Marcus wants to be the Scrum Master. That's great for me. You know, I'm open to that. That's going to be something you guys are going to chat internally about. As well as, and I've seen this in the last team that I work with, was kind of how various skill sets take on various tasks. Okay. So why don't I jump into, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you guys some of the prep I did for today. Okay, so this is a folder I'm going to share with you guys. So we've got some onboarding. This is broken down into 2022 documentation, 2023 documentation. There's nothing in it, but so if you went into, if we went into, this is our onboarding outline. We've got, hold on a second. When are we in 2022? Okay. Yeah, so I think I might have to relabel this, but you've got a handoff from previous projects. This is our UX UI design research. You're going to find in here internal test instructions, how we ran internal testing when we deployed the app to how we deployed the app to iOS and Android. And then we've got a bunch of research that we've got here. So if you wanted to look at who are we talking, who are these users? Give me some information. I want to know. Who are these guys? You can read that here. Personas, we've drafted them. We've got some results of our user tests, which might be interesting for you guys to read about. I will be keeping notes from our meetings. I'll fix this date. This is just a copy, but there'll be notes from each meeting. If you ever want to go back, kind of look at what we talked about. I do make notes. Past documents. Let's see here. Yeah, some of these are duplicates. Let's see here. Version summary. Yeah, these are kind of old. These are kind of a little bit of old docs. But if we go into the onboarding, data structure is they're a little old, but you can see kind of how we created the data structure. Let's go in here. Sec. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to send this to you guys. We've got, I need to invite you into the GitHub. So you're all getting an invite into GitHub, okay? There's some other links here. There's a change list that these guys drafted last time. I'll also invite you to the Android and iOS. Well, we don't need to do that right now, but whenever, these are just a list of things we need to invite you to. Firebase. So we use Firebase, our database. we run Asana. So this kind of relates back to the sprint cycle versioning thing that we'll come to understand soon. But maybe just as a conversation piece now, when you guys have worked on various sprint cycles in the past, what platforms have you used to kind of connect and communicate
Like
progress?
the big one is Trello for most of us.
Trello, okay.
Obviously, we have our like communication means like email, Discord, but like we would just post to-do tasks on Trello and tasks, and then you go through them, work on them, and then check them off as they're done.
Okay. And there's a lot of different views you can do in Asana. Trello is board based, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're board. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing some nodding heads here. Just checking. People feel comfortable using boards for like in progress.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that it? Okay.
Yeah, we're okay with it.
Okay. So we'll get you in Asana and we'll start to develop. You could probably see from previous versions. We didn't really do a board, but we kind of split it up into each of the tabs, because that's just the way the students pulled it. It just worked for them. That each of the tabs in the app they took on. So one is signing up, one was the dashboard. So we'll get us in and set up on an Asana board here. Okay. We've got Figma. I guess it's either Figma or what's the other one people commonly use?
Miro?
Maybe, yeah. Okay, so Figma, we've got our 0.40 version, which is the last version. It's kind of what we're working with as a reference to you guys. We'll let that load for a sec. Yeah, so that's kind of, so then yeah, let's talk about, so this is some of the thoughts I had last couple weeks. Before we get into that, let me just talk about so we've got our Apple Play and Google Play console, or sorry, iStore and Google Play console that we have deployed before. So we just need to change the versioning, and then we're in Firebase stuff. Okay, so here's 0.40. When you look at these, you're probably looking at the way that we did it is that there's three different types of users that can be in the app. You can actually download the app and use it as an unpaid user. This is our idea, anyway. You can use it as a fully paid new user. And the biggest difference there is that you're going to see that it's a little bit of a tutorial. So you're going to see little like tutorial pieces here, right? Here's how to filter things. So if this is your first walkthrough, you get a tutorial as you go. That's the biggest difference. And then fully paid. So fully paid means you have a credit card on file, you've paid to start an account, and you're able to check things out fully. There might be a little bit of a discrepancy. I think one of the first things we should do is familiarize ourselves with the GitHub and do a deployment to the iStore and Google Play just so we can start to do some internal testing, just so you have it on your phone and you can look at it. Because just so we know where we're at, because where we left off, I had it on an old phone and I couldn't find some options, so it'll be interesting to see. Okay, so in addition to this stuff, we've also got okay, so one of the things we did is we built this dashboard so that the administrative user could come in and change certain things about objects like inventory. So this is a web-based kind of dashboard that we just built, where you could just add a new piece of equipment or change the piece of equipment. So when you see the when it says dashboard, that's what it's talking about. It's very rudimentary. I don't even know if we got to the point where you can really change users. It's mostly about changing the inventory, but the structure's there, so we can definitely update it quite a bit. That's admin dashboard. This is basically the app setup for getting it on the Android test. How to build it, right? For both, just a little bit of overview. You want it. Let's see here. Actually, note this as being mobile. Sorry. Okay, some useful information there. And then I think that it's interesting because this is weird. This is kind of older stuff. This is we did a sprint in 2022. This is the conclusion of that sprint. So this stuff in 2022 is up. It is 2022 stuff. Sorry, I just need to forgive me, guys. Something didn't upload. This should be full of stuff. Let me just give me a second here. Okay, I'm gonna just mute. Okay, sorry everybody. Yeah, something had just not transferred properly. So I did end up. So here's the thing I was hoping to. It's now in 2023 documentation, which was the original statement of work, and then the final documentation that they submitted to us. So this is our original statement of work that they sent to us, which you guys will probably have to do something similar, I believe. And anyway, this is kind of the statement of work that they submitted to us. And then here's a bunch of like the links that I'd had previously, but then they kind of get into the work done on each thing. So they go, okay, we worked on the admin dashboard. Here's what we did. Here's some known bugs. Here's some guidance for future developers. Okay, what about the account section? Here's what we did. Here's what we didn't do. Here's some known bugs. Here's some guidance, right? So you'll get this. This is probably the biggest thing to focus on once you've grasped kind of the platform. And then if you wanted to look at kind of some of the testing that they did do a bunch of testing at the end of kind of their course to think about what they need to work on still. So here, these notes are actually in testing. They're in UX UI research. So there's an internal test structure that's here now. So yeah, that's kind of the overview of the Google Drive you'll get. I do want to hop in to talk about some of the functionality that I'd like to work on this semester. I don't know if I can remember that word. Any questions on anything I've shown you in terms of the drive or the links of the past documentation before I jump into vision?
It seems all good, but I do have one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When we through the previous documentation, I see that they had posted like oh, this thing doesn't work, or there are bugs here. Uh, I mean, before you go into the features, I'm assuming we're building new features, or do you want us to be going through the old code and fixing things as well?
It's going to be up to your team to really create. I think once you guys get familiar with it, assess the current situation,
All right.
right? Because typically at the end of every sprint cycle, we want to demonstrate a working product. We're far enough along in this app's development that we should be demonstrating a working version of whatever we've been working on. If we can't do that, we got to address that first. So, if we look at the bug fixes, and there's a lot, and it's not really interesting, and you guys want to work on something that's more interesting, but not maybe, can we split it up and maybe have two people that can kind of work on some of these bug fixes, and you know what I mean? So let's understand the workload ahead of us, but there's not that much. I'll let you guys read through it. I'll send you an invitation to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay. So I just had some questions. So we have the kind of the web app that we're using is like a dashboard to edit information within the app is called the dashboard, right? And the admin dashboard. So you can edit and delete users, items, and reservations. I'm pretty sure we need to check that. But then there's some things like there's a lot of mention as you go through the Figma, you'll see it's like we're gonna make an item featured. I don't know if we actually can do that. How do we edit locations? Quick default. The profile image is like really lame. Sometimes like when you're in a Google Doc, it shows you there's like a muskrat and a rhinoceros, just stuff like that, where it's just not this blank profile picture. And how to change browse items categories. So these are just the app itself. We should just be reviewing the UX UI path. We need to correct some errors. Come back to this idea of a personal library in a second. The dashboard, the user dashboard, review the issues in the BCIT 2023. Think about if we're going to add push notifications, and if we're going to suggest an item. So something might be like, hey, Andre, we saw that you used the food dehydrator last week, but we just got, a new one. Do you want to try it? So are we using this dashboard and the notifications to connect some usage to the promotion? Is that an interesting new feature that we can add? To browse, we've got to retest the search feature. How do we edit some of the categories that are displayed? Can we actually request an item? Can we leave a review for an item? It says we can in the UX UI design. Like if you looked at the Figma, you can leave a review, a star rating, and a comment. And then you can also heart items when you're browsing. We don't know where that goes. Is there a wish list access somewhere? Yeah. And then my things, so the my things page shows you what you have checked out, what you have reserved, and maybe I think it's what you've used in the past. Can you report an item, report an issue? This is during that process. Can you renew an item that's checked out? Site is like, how do you access the site? So when you're on site. So one of the reasons we have that called site is because there's certain conditions that should be met if you're going to check it out on your phone. You need to be close on site. So you have to have your location on. So you have to have an account in good standing. You have to be outside the site. You can imagine that some people might be like, I signed up and then someone else is going to go pick it up. So we want to avoid, accounts that people checking stuff out that's not actually on site. So site is this spot where you go and you kind of you use the app to open a locker. The account, it's pretty fine. The really thing that we want to work on the account side is integrating with Stripe. So overall, some of the new features as well: high fidelity wireframes. Account, we want Stripe integration. We don't need to integrate it maybe with our Stripe account. We do have a Stripe account that's active. They have an API and everything. We could try if we want. Impact reporting is in demand from funders and a useful tool from users. I don't know if I was in Toronto and I used their bike share program not too long ago, and they have this really cool thing where it shows you how far you've gone, your GHG savings, and how many calories you burned, which is interesting. So that would involve some kind of, I think you'd have to add a new set of values to each item, and then we'd have to take some big assumptions about users. So for example, if Andre, again, we're just gonna say Andre went to get this food dehydrator. If we're gonna say to Andre that he'd save $100, he can't save $100 every time he goes, right? Because that's not true. He wouldn't have gone and buy a new one every time he went to use it. He would have bought it once and then he used it multiple times. So you can see that the logic of how we communicate impact measurement in terms of Andre went to use the food dehydrator from the Thingery and therefore didn't buy one. Or would he have rented one? Probably not, but he might have borrowed it from a friend. So if he borrowed it from a friend, did he save time and money or just time? So there's all these kind of assumptions. Anyway, you make those assumptions and then you would put them in to the item's value itself. So that every time it went out, we'd say, well, instead of buying it because you borrowed it, you've saved this much GHG, this much solid waste from going to the landfill, this much money that you would have spent on it renting or buying it, right? So that's a little bit of what's in impact reporting. If it's not your guys' cup of tea, if it is, great. If it's not, it would be good to just set it up as values that are in the database associated with items so that we can start to build that at a later point. But it's in demand. And you can imagine that, like, if you opened up your app and it said you saved $50 last month because you used your Thingery account and it cost you $7, you're like, well, this is a good value, right? So this is a part of the business model as well as communicating value. browsing, I have an interest in upvoting items. So you can, if you suggest an item, but how do you upvote it? So, if we all look at the inventory and we go, we all want there to be a volleyball, and we all enter volleyball. Now there's just volleyball 5 times. We don't know, or maybe Andre's got a great new idea. Maybe he wants a spike ball set and no one said it, but I wouldn't even thought about it. But now that Andre said it, I want to upvote it. So what we're looking for is, what don't we have? How do we capture that? And I think upvoting is a part of that. So we do have a suggestion ability, is their ability to upvote something. That's a new feature we'd like to add. So site, okay, so IoT integration, we've used different systems. We're using, well, we demonstrated that the app worked with a lock, which was maybe one of the happiest days of my life. Is that someone was on site, their account was in good state. This was like a internal test. They were on site, their account was in good standing, and they had a reservation. So they had to have all 3 of those things lined up. They met the criteria. The button became available. They hit the button, the door unlocked. That was when we had a shipping container. We haven't actually integrated the app into the locker system. The locker system we're using right now is a different controller. It's not completely unfamiliar, but the work that we're doing is it's a little bit of a different hardware. So we're, what we'd want to demonstrate as a goal is to get the locker to unlock if certain conditions are met, right? We have a little bit of support from the IoT. I don't know. Does anyone on the team, maybe just as a general question, does anyone on the team have any familiarity with programming within Arduino or Raspberry Pi? No. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, failing that Tommy and Sebastian do.
Sebastian might. He works a lot on servers, and he has his own server setup, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has experience with it.
Okay. Okay, I'll just make note of that as a follow-up question. Okay, so that's IoT integration. So that's another feature we want to add. And then maybe, I feel like in my head, one of the most exciting things is allowing people to add their own stuff. So you saw the picture I showed you before about the Thingery. We have a limited amount of space. So if you look at a locker system, we've got a locker system that's, let's say 4 towers. And we can get 5 lockers in each tower, right? That's 20 items, right? Let's say we're going to max out at 20 items. If you're living in a community that has somewhere between 5 to 10,000 people, 20 items is not gonna work. It's not enough. We're confined by the space. One of the things that can change that, though, limitation, is that if, again, I'm just gonna keep picking on Andre and his food dehydrator. Instead of us having to have a food dehydrator, if Marcus had a food dehydrator and lived in the same building, and it was listed on our inventory, right? And when Andre went to borrow it, Marcus would get a notification that says, someone in your neighborhood wants to borrow the food dehydrator. Can you drop it in locker 3? And you go down and you drop it in locker 3, it opens up, you put it in, you close locker 3. Now Andre comes, he opens it, he uses it, he returns it. So that's a big piece of what we want to be able to demonstrate, actually, is can people create kind of their own library that gets listed as a general library. So it would be, it would be something that only you would be able to edit. So it would be very user specific. So each user attached to their profile would be a series of inventories, right? So that, yeah, if you know, that's definitely a big goal. That'd be fun to work on. Some of the other things, like if I could pick one thing to center around, it would probably be that, because I feel like we've already opened the locker with IoT integration, so we're not that far from having that work with a different set of controllers. You know, some small little things here and there. Impact reporting is quite big. It's a big kettle of fish, and I doubt we're going to be able to fully tackle it. But if we could set up the structure for it in the database, right, and kind of think maybe the reporting through a little bit. One of the challenges about impact reporting is that we don't have the so we got a donation form, we got a notification system, we got a user comment, we got a user tutorial, we got FAQs. Yeah, we don't have a user journey for impact metrics. Just so you know. So we still want to add Stripe and impact metrics, app access control integration, high fidelity UI, because we're low fidelity UI right now. But it's not a big deal because you can do like universal changes, so I don't think we're that far up. Yeah. Okay, so Toll 24. So those would be the things I think. Would be probably my things, adding your own, you know. But what I'll do from here is I'm going to share a bunch of things to you guys. I'm going to add you to GitHub. I'm going to share this Google Drive with you. How busy is everybody? How much time are you guys really going to need to dig through this and have a, like, maybe we skip next week as a meeting and maybe we meet the week after. And just, if you guys want to meet as a team internally, to start to have some conversations about roles and ambition and timelines and stuff. And then we can reconvene the week of the 23rd and really draft up a pretty solid kind of versioning plan for this. How does that sound for everybody?
That sounds pretty good. We already have a couple internal meetings scheduled.
Okay.
Like, do you want me to review the notes I have down? Like, so
Sure.
specifically, like I guess I'd identify like a couple different things that you want. Like, you want more admin features. You want how the user interacts with the app, specifically two parts. I'd say how they browse, how they view items, and then a big point you really want is them being able to put their own items up. And I feel that's like really integrated with the admin. That uses the admin page a lot, because then they would want to be able to admin their own stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah.
And then IoT integration, you're not you got it working, so you think it shouldn't be too much work on your end to put in, right? Or
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, you know, the biggest thing it's going to require possibly is we're probably going to have to add a reference to where the item is in the locker or the room.
all right.
But yeah, I don't think, and plus, if the skill set's not within the team,
Yeah. I think that one could potentially be really difficult, because I feel it's something you might want to go on site, test it a lot, see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
For how doable things seem, I feel like Stripe should be decently easy, because I imagine on their half they they have a lot of documentation. They make it really easy for other people to implement it so that they use it.
Mhm.
I think the impact reporting is surprisingly doable. Like, it, like I'm imagining you add an associated cost with every item, and then you calculate it, oh, how much did I use this item? How much did that cost me? And then just subtract that and you add it onto each person's profile.
Mhm.
The harder ones are the waste thing where it can be a lot harder to measure, but I guess you could just add that onto the item.
Totally, and that's what I meant by kind of like structure. Like if we could just say, like if I come up with a formula, right?
Yeah.
Right, based on the assumptions, which is like it's like every active user, we're gonna assume that every active user would have purchased that item at some point that year, and then that they would have thrown it in the garbage. So now we've got these clear assumptions. We go, we're going to take the weight of the food dehydrator, and we're going to say that goes in the garbage.
Okay.
So I really have to set that up for you guys, right? Fill it with some test data.
Yeah.
The challenging part about impact is we don't have the wireframe. We have no wireframes for that work at all. We do. So again, back to this question of skill set and interest. We've got a user journey for pretty much every other functionality that has been listed or talked about this whole call, and we don't have that for measurement. So it might just be a back end where we go, we've got the data, we've got some test data here, we've got the calculation, we present it in a wireframe that we did up that's very rudimentary, and leave it and kind of say, okay, next time you get some UI capacity, Chris, go zhuzh it up a bit, right? So we could do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, I think that seems very doable. I guess the allowing users to post their items and like rent them out, that one seems really built on top of the other parts. That one I'm feeling might potentially be very difficult.
Which one's that, sorry?
Allowing users to post their own items.
Yeah.
That one seems like it feels really built on a lot of other layers of the app.
Right. It's a good initial assessment. I think that read through the development notes. Let's look at, for each functionality, let's read through the past notes and get a sense of like how much workload already exists just to get this. Usually in sprint 1, we just update the app and get it on our phones, and now it's working, and now, you know what I mean? Like we give it 2 weeks of just getting it together, and then once it's together and there's familiarity with it, now we go, okay, what are we going to focus on? So if we met the week of the 24th, and you guys came back and sorry,
I'll check my notes, but I think BCIT requires that we have like a finalized plan by the 23rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can check this, get back to you, and email you about it. But I think BCIT expects we have a meeting this week. We draft up, this is what we want, this is what we do, and then have like a fully functioning plan that we all sign by the 23rd.
Okay. Do we want to meet again the same? Oh no, it doesn't work for.
I can send you an email with the times that work for us next week. It was my bad. There was a little bit of miscommunication. He told me a time, and I thought he was free in that time, but he was busy in that time.
Oh yeah. Well, that's okay. But yeah, there's a little fire here to get this plan. That's fine. What I would recommend you guys do is read over those notes from 2023. I think that, and let's get the app. Well, let's look through it and look through their notes, and then we'll set some goals next week. Okay, so I'm going to send notes The Google Drive invitation to Asana Figma. And then you guys are going to let me know what time works next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we just do that now?
Like the time available for next week?
Yeah.
I think it should be the same times given, but Wednesday should be 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Oh, I didn't send it to myself.
Wednesday, 2:30 to 5:30?
Yeah, instead of the 11:30. Let me quickly.
Can everyone just give a thumbs up if that time works next Wednesday, 2:30 to 5:30?
Yeah, the time works.
And Rajbir? Yeah.
The
Okay.
time works for me as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it works.
Do people have anything to do after work or school usually on Wednesday? Like if I made it a 4 to 5:30, would that be okay to end at 5:30?
Yeah, that's
Or
fine.
is that
Oh, yeah. In general, the hours are more for, like, I didn't want to schedule a meeting for you outside of business hours, I guess.
Oh yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Like, I can double check with them and give you like more open hours, like up to 9 p.m. if that's something you're more interested in. But
I am. Yeah. Right now, let's do 4 to 5:30 next Wednesday, tentatively. Okay.
okay, yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to share those docs. We've run over a bit, but I'll share the documents with you later today.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris.
Hi.
Wait, Ash, do you want? Don't join. Just come here. I just want to quickly talk to them. No, like walk.
Here, let me see.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so I think he's more of an idea guy than a tech guy, and I think that might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Also, there's no way that app is 90% coded. Like, objectively, it's just not.
Like, I didn't understand, like, why you saying easily doable? We don't even know
Okay,
what
no,
language they're using.
some of the things he's doing are like they're like super easy. Like the waste management, like the hard stuff is sorry, let me quickly review my notes. The one where you get users to post their items and rent them out is an insane change, objectively, because you have to rewrite the entire database to have items and like owners and everything, and I'm pretty sure they don't have that right now. And then it's also built on top of the admin page, and then how people browse it, and then you also want to add like, oh, this is an owned item on it. That is like a huge sweeping change, and I'm really, really worried about that because that's what he really wants.
I will say though.
Well, we don't have to like fully complete it though. It's like how to we can get part of it.
Well, we're supposed to have fully functioning features of this.
Oh.
No, the thing is, we don't know anything about the app there.
Like just talking to the mic here. Like
So the thing is, we really don't know anything about the app there, right? So we have to take a look at it. We shouldn't really promise anything is super hard or super easy or doable or not doable. What we should say is
raising
something
his
we can look
expectations
into or
in the
something we
end.
can look
the thing, okay, if we can't integrate strike or impact reporting, like I think we're just bad. Like those two are easy things. Those like I guarantee you.
Assuming that there is just a database and we just insert the values, it can't be that easy. That what you're thinking.
Okay.
The problem is we just shouldn't say anything about easy or hard.
What-
We should say only this is interesting, can be looked into, definitely something that we can work on. That is it. Because he's expecting us to look into everything that he mentioned,
Yeah.
and we tell him what's doable or not, but not right now.
Yeah,
It should
but
all be
it-
done
it-
after. We shouldn't set the expectation from day one. Never.
Yeah. Just
And now in the end, he's gonna have a high expectations. And what if we mess up? What if it took too long for us to like figure out how things work?
No,
Well,
he's gonna have high expectations regardless. Because
He-
he's also
he-
working with other students anyways.
I think he already has insane expectations.
he
Like
definitely
I think him expecting us to be able to do the users post their items and rent them out
Yeah.
is already a lot, and that's the thing he seems really
yeah.
he really wants.
Well, it's okay.
But
He also wants the notification things also like so-
Notification thing is still doable-ish because you can tie that to the locker itself. Like, let's say the locker is open or is being used just once, then you can obviously send a push notification, or when it's time due that you have to return the item. That's something that still can be done without much testing. But the fact that you have to do this post their item thingy, that I feel like is not doable without any like strain testing. Like really hard.
the biggest issue is posting their items. You needed the database to be designed with that from day one, and I'm 99% sure they didn't do that because
We have to take a
Well,
look.
that's okay.
I shouldn't say anything.
that can be that okay, potentially that is like a brutalizing change, like simply how it's set up to be brutal. Integrating Stripe, like integrating payment into things, is generally very simple. We've done something very, very similar with integrating like GitHub with secrets. That is how most payment things work.
But he
Like,
didn't
they
even
just
talk
read
about
a-
the payment thing like
Yeah.
at all.
He mentioned it. It's a feature he wants. He
We can deliver on it.
he had 6 features. What I'm really like kind of tilted by is like there seem to be so many bugs in the code and so many missing features from what I quickly
That's
saw. And
Also, I recorded the whole thing, so we can take a look.
Oh, I recorded it too.
okay,
Yeah.
like the browsing, like, oh, we want these users to browse it differently. I think that's totally fine. Like the admin dashboard, that's a little harder, but I think that's okay.
That's still.
But you need the admin dashboard basically needs to be able to workable inside the app, because like allowing users to post their items, edit them, do whatever they want with them, and then rent them out is just hard. It's because it works fully off the admin dashboard. It works off of all these other things, and that's just
To be honest,
multiple
we don't
layers.
even know what language they are using,
That's
and
true.
we can't just say it's doable because we know in our mind
Okay.
like, oh, this connects to this connects to that.
Well, it's more like I want to set his expectations reasonably about that. Like that seems really hard. We have to integrate it. Like just looking at it, the admin dashboard needs to work for this.
That is fine. But for you to say something
Like-
can be done is.
But he thinks impact reporting is hard. I think that's so doable. Like I think
We don't know.
like if
we shouldn't say
if the-
anything, but we
if-
can say something.
Even the maths is not that easy, like to do that. Like we calculate everything, and to implement it is even more harder. Like we have to get that specific company, what's it costs. Like we don't know.
well, it's more
what-
no, like what he expects for that is that on the database end, every item has a waste produced and a price associated with it, so that the user will rent each item, and then basically you just take the total cost of every item they rented for that year, subtract their subscription service, and bam, that's how much money they saved. That's literally what he wants for that. And then for the waste is you literally just add them all up for the year. Bam, that's how much waste you prevented. Like that. I'm
Concept is fine.
The-
Putting it in effect is not.
no, that implementation is also like in every language I've ever worked
Alright,
with,
guys,
that
let's
would
agree
be
on one thing. Aiden's job is to do all of that.
the impact reporting or the Stripe. Like I am really worried for this project because
No, but you
I-
think
I think-
everything is easily doable, so I think we're just gonna trust you. Like even if we run into a small problem.
wait, that is not what I said. I specifically said that this like allowing users to post items, that is a hard change.
No,
No, but you said 5 things to him that are easily doable without
Like
knowing what.
individually, yes, but what we can work out is like, hey,
Let's discuss something else.
our course is expecting 3 to 4 things. Oh, wait, you only have this room for an hour?
No, but we had 2 hours. But let's discuss other things too, not just like what's easy and hard. We went over so much shit.
Okay,
But not
no, I'm gonna be
also
honest.
that.
We didn't go over
There's
like
also not
Firebase,
just the
like-
deliverables, but there are also the bugs that we have to fix. The previous bugs.
yeah.
that we have to
The issue is he wants he wants deliverables based on other people's work that isn't bug tested properly and isn't fully functional. And I'm like, that's brutal.
Okay.
Do we have any experience with the softwares that he mentioned? Not software, but like services he mentioned, like Firebase and shit? Any one of us?
I think Stripe shouldn't be too bad. Like honestly,
How about the
Firebase?
Firebase?
That's like the hosting thing, right?
the Firebase is their code.
Or like database, yeah. We want to check. Anyone knows that?
I'd be very. I think Firebase is like
He said that's the database.
I think it's the entire thing.
Probably.
Google's mobile and web app development
Yeah.
platform.
Which database did they use? Firebase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the entire thing though.
So this
it is their code, it is their database, it is everything in between. It is a fully integrated service. Like,
Okay, so we gotta learn a new one.
yeah,
Base.
unfortunately, if you're working on mobile, you just have to learn a new
We
one.
can do this.
I am really worried about this project. Like, I think he has a really poor read on what's difficult and what isn't difficult.
Well,
Straight up.
That's for the next meeting. We can just tell him in the next meeting, oh, this stuff is probably really
Yeah.
difficult, and then this
No,
stuff
we just
is
gotta
probably
figure it out.
easier, right?
Oh, I guess my other issue is it's going to take a long time for us to get fully up to speed with what, like,
The app.
what the app is, like how to run this, how to even measure how difficult these things are on an
split it
app.
apart then. Like we each like look into specific part of the documentation. Like specifically, if you want to branch into other things, you can do that. And then we also document what we read about, so we can communicate that to each other.
Like, I think
I like
we're gonna
weekend.
need to do some soul reads on like what is doable and what is not doable, because we need to basically have like a form filled out by next week. Because if I remember,
Saying that in the meeting you should
That's pretty good.
like communicate within the team before saying things easily doable, and that now he has a lot of expectations for the next meeting. And if we say nothing is doable, because I have not no knowledge about Firebase,
Yeah.
and I don't know if like I'm not willing to just devote my
okay,
whole
but
next time.
if it comes down to it,
He'll take the
I'll take the fault, but also I'll just integrate Stripe and impact reporting.
He'll do it yourself.
Like, I don't know how to convey this, but in every language, those two things shouldn't be that hard.
buddy,
Like,
don't.
I really am. I'm gonna just say, because like
We're
what he
working in a team right now.
well, okay,
Stop.
the impact reporting, he wants us to measure the total waste. He just wants us to add to the database for every item. This item has this cost. It has this waste. We don't need a way to gather this data.
We do need to, because
No.
what that means. No, the impact.
It's when you create that item, you will have those forms to fill.
No, if
For the
they
waste
use
thing,
it
he
for
doesn't
the
even
main-
have the wireframes. So
No,
how do
it
you
was like-
expect him to have a database like that?
So I think the way he explained is like if a user, let's say, uses a bicycle, right? Now we know how much carbon emissions it does, how much waste it generates, how much like garbage it is, right? So whenever a user uses a bicycle from the locker, right, you always know that how much he's saving on, or like how much he's
Yeah.
not producing of that, right? We would need some way to track their usage of the item as well, not
Yeah.
just.
How long they have it rented out?
That doesn't make sense, because obviously that's not going to be accurate.
He said, "Oh, let's make some. You can just make some sweeping generalizations, and that's okay." That's why he was talking about it. Like there, you can throw together like a really like rough formula that will give you like a number here, and I think that's fine. Like I don't think he's expecting a lot for that.
On this is just completing the database for it, but
Yeah.
actually slapping it on the app is kind of hard. We can just say that for the later ISSP, but if we can just make the wireframe and the database for it, then that's a deliverable.
Does he want us to be making wireframes? Like my interpretation is that he has the wireframes. We're just working off of them.
He said we don't have a.
Well,
Yeah, but like that'd be a rough implementation.
well,
We would
like
need to
there's a
have
new
it.
feature
Like, that's
that
what
doesn't
we-
have a wireframe for it yet. So,
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, yeah.
Because that's one of the.
wait,
Um,
wait, Andre, do you have to
It's
go?
completely new.
Okay. Also, the IoT and locker stuff, I think that's just dead in the water. Like, there's absolutely no shot.
Yeah, Andre, if you
We
have
We
to
can
go
still take a
now,
look into
then
this.
that's
We have,
okay.
we have
I'm just saying.
couple of days.
Wait, sorry, what?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine. We can wait for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like it's better to like sit on it, take a look at the documentation before like just getting our hopes down.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like
Because he does expect us to produce work.
yeah, he doesn't expect us to do the 100% of the work because the last
Yeah.
students they have a lot of bugs in the system too. He knows that.
He underplayed it. He's like they
He
don't have that
underplayed
many.
it so that he shows us that we don't need to bug test that much. We would need to bug test a lot. He knows how much bugs he has. He uses the application on the daily basis.
I think you're overestimating a lot. Okay, anyways, like
I'm 100% sure he knows how much bugs he
But-
does.
Okay.
Just bugs. I'm not talking about functionality. I'm just
he
talking.
doesn't know.
Okay. How about
Okay, yeah, that's true.
we all look at the document and then we can
Definitely.
do a meeting before we have the other meeting with Chris.
Yeah.
We can communicate on Discord about that because I feel like are the weekends free for everyone or
Not this week. Like
the
we will schedule a meeting for either Monday or Tuesday
Okay,
sure.
for us,
Yeah.
but ideally Monday, so that we
Monday
have
or
extra
Tuesday.
time.
Yeah. Also, has Chris, their supervisor, Chris, has he contacted any of you guys?
No.
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 Okay, because I'm trying to. He hasn't said anything
Oh,
yet, so.
I mean, I think he expects us to take a couple weeks to get up to speed, but like
Maybe.
we have to have a finished form of what we're doing
Like,
on the 23rd, right? Am I wrong?
Like a plan, yes. We should have
No, it has to be finalized.
Yeah, a finalized sprint plan. We
No,
should
the draft is next week, and then the final one is.
Draft is next
we
week.
can make changes to it, but then
I thought
That's
the
It's
draft
just a
insane.
draft. So
I thought the
it's
draft
just
was
the
next
bare
week.
bones. As long as it's not too detailed. It doesn't
It's
have
just
to
like
be too
email.
detailed.
make change.
Draft is
No,
next week, 23rd, right?
Yes, 23rd.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I misunderstood, but like I thought the draft wanted you to commit to 3 features you were going to make and have functional by the end.
Oh,
3 features.
well, it doesn't have to
3
be 3. It can be
features.
like
Right.
1 to 5, right?
But bug fixes aren't a feature though.
We gotta make it somehow because that's the.
But our thing is supposed to be fully functional. Is the issue,
we
and
gotta
then it's
communicate
based
with Chris for that. Then.
like
We can always divide the work. We can see
Yeah.
who we can always just find like who is comfortable making the new features. People who are comfortable with like fixing the bugs. There's a lot of us who can program. If they can't, if the people can't program, then they can always do the documentation. They can always set up the meeting, check how everyone's doing, talk to
I'm
Exactly.
taking
the client.
Figma documentation. That's me.
I think we should everybody should like Sebastian and Tommy also should meet in person and then we can discuss because
That you
we
can
can't be
look up.
making.
like I don't think it really matters if I said something was easy or hard. I think his expectations are unrealistically high.
You don't realize just how big of a fuck up it is to always say something is easy.
I didn't.
It's fun. Easy.
I said 2 things seem
Doable.
workable,
You said doable.
doable.
Which
Easy
is
is doable.
saying we
Easy.
can make it.
Like they are
I
doable.
mean,
Like
Never say that.
yo, okay,
Never. Not on the
okay.
first
But
meeting.
if they're not doable, then we have no project here. This is all
That's
completely
completely
unworkable.
fine.
I
We
mean-
haven't even looked at it. We
Yeah,
can say
exactly.
we can try.
exactly.
Like if
And
the
you-
project is not doable, that's completely fine. We can talk to Chris about that and he can tell us what to do.
Yeah.
You do it in the meet.
You CEO there. That's fine. But we can't make commitments at all.
In the meeting, you were saying on the behalf of the whole team, but you're just, in your opinion, it's easily doable, and you just.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
okay. We'll have another meeting with them, and then we'll just clarify. Like, we can just say, oh, like in the previous meeting, we said that was doable, and then now, after looking through the document, now it's.
No, we shouldn't
know?
say that. We should not say that.
Well, we have to like if we actually can't do what we said in this meeting, then we should tell him, right?
Yeah. Like I don't see like an issue. Like I do think like the things he thinks are like really minor are like entire groups of tasks. And I guess I wanted to put this like, oh, this is a group of tasks. You want your users to be able to browse it differently. You want them to have all these options. And then because he's huge on allowing users to post their items and rent them out. And
So the thing is, Aiden, your fuck up wasn't that big, but it's just that everyone else will now have the pressure of
at least.
It's no pressure. Like this project is whatever. If we can't do it, then we talk to Chris and say, hey,
That's what I said.
yeah, that's what you're telling me. So like,
as long as we agree on it.
but
Like I'm saying, it's not that big a deal. But then for the next meeting, let's just make sure that we never say these things.
you know, by the next meeting, we need to choose which features we're
But
making.
we can't just commit just on the spot.
We have to.
No,
Like,
we
sorry.
can't.
No, next week we're committing.
You can't commit to blind things. No.
Okay,
No,
I'm telling you
We
this.
still have to discuss on it,
Next week we are having our project plan.
brother.
We're
can
bringing
always
it to
reschedule
No,
the
draft.
You already
Draft
said
project.
Monday. You'll
No,
talk to him Monday.
we need the project plan finalized by September
talking
23rd.
about-
Nothing is finalized
Yeah.
in Agile, man. It can change according to the constraints and things that open.
I don't think that's how it's set up because we're setting it up. We're having him sign have him sign it.
Just look at the week before 23rd. We're on
We're
19
just
now,
not
right?
listening to
And next
anyone.
week we'll have something decided. He already told us to meet on the 16th, I think 17th sometime, right? So we're gonna meet then, talk to him, and then by the weekend we'll have an email sent to him, and then we'll confirm what exactly we'll be working on. And if he needs to talk to us further, we can always talk to him by the weekends. He already said you can talk to me out of business hours, so that's completely fine. What are we stressing about?
Yeah.
It's completely fine. We'll have everything decided by 23rd, but let's make sure to not commit on the spot. Let's take some time as a team to step back from the meeting. Let's be done with the meeting, and then we can decide on something, not in the meeting.
I mean, I'm saying next meeting we are basically committing.
No.
Yeah, but we shouldn't commit
The
on.
meeting gets done in the start of the week. We'll still have time to set up another meeting if we need to with him.
I think you're overestimating how much time there is between our next meeting and the 23rd.
This
need to
total of
calm
7
down
days.
and just
Yeah, just
Our next
discuss
meeting is
it.
the 18th, and then it's the 23rd.
Yes, that's 5 days.
Yeah.
6 days actually.
Like it's more like we have a week to decide now what's doable.
It's not a week to decide, man. We have 2 weeks. We can still change it. You're just assuming things every time, like before the group even started.
Wait, let me.
Because we have no idea what we're working into, okay? Like, let's not commit in the meetings. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
We can
yeah,
commit outside
yeah.
of the meetings with each other. And then we can communicate to him through email and Slack, whatever he uses. That's completely fine. I'm pretty much sure the other teams will also do the same. They will never tell him in the meeting, oh, we can just do this now.
Like, okay, so I don't say anything's easy. I don't say anything's doable.
You can say something is hard. You can't say something is
Okay,
easy.
yeah.
You can say we can look into it, but not. Oh, that's easy. We can do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Wait, did I say it was easy?
You said it's very doable.
I think strip is
What
very
you made it
doable.
sound like is, oh, it's whatever.
All right, my bad. Sorry.
But that's completely fine. Like we can still work it out because we already told him like we have to finalize something by 23rd. So we'll get back to you. So at the closing, he definitely got the impression that we need to look into this a lot more. So that's completely fine. But we just need to work our way up there.
Because there are a lot of
I would
documents.
say
in
like the documentation that he will give us access to, we should also divide what sections we'll be taking a look at. After looking at like the full plan.
Don't know how that.
No, we'll take a look at each other's part too, but then to mainly specifically focus on some things so that we can also explain that to each other. Like let's say the coding aspect or like the database aspect, if someone is really well versed in those kind of things, they can just take a look in that, like in-depth research in Firebase or something, and we'll be done by the weekend and then we can talk about it. And we'll also take a look into other things because there's no other way to do it within the next 4 or 5 days. There's no other way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is like GitHub code, Google.
Exactly.
Drive.
Like unless we divide it, there's no other way to do it. So like
That's just unfortunately that's just unlucky. Like he wanted us to review it for a couple of weeks.
yeah, exactly. And our fucking CIT program wants us to do it in a week.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. But we have to do it that way.
No, but the CIT says we have to do it by 23rd, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Project plan is finalized.
But that means we also have to make the document and then get his approval on it, get Chris's approval on
Yeah.
it.
So that what I'm saying is like
Basically
we
done by
basically need. No, I'm like by outside of business hours. He doesn't mean the weekend. He means up to 9 p.m. on the weekdays.
That's very good. That's
like
very good.
what I'm saying is by our next meeting, we want him to bring him like an unfinalized project plan.
No, we just have to talk with him what we saw and like
we can
how we think and ask him.
No,
what's the
like
main
on the
priority.
schedule, we need a first draft of the project plan by the next week,
No.
and then we need to run it by him, and then we can work it over and then finalize it by the Monday.
What I first want to know is how we're feeling about the dude. Is he something that we can work with or not?
But I think he's less of a tech guy and more of a ideas guy.
Idea guy. Okay.
And
I'll
that's
be on agreement with that, everyone.
Yeah. So what time?
Yeah. So
What time are you guys available for like a meeting after we look at the document?
I can take a look anytime on the weekends, aside from 15th, because I'm moving on 15th, but I can take a look on 14th,
like
16th, or even
Okay.
the day before.
I mean,
I don't know,
it's not gonna take
maybe
very long.
maybe,
I don't think it's gonna be.
maybe
we just-
Sunday like 7 p.m. or something.
What?
Yeah, for me, midnight is fine too. I don't care.
Oh.
Oh, next meeting is 4 p.m. to 5:30.
I
And
think we should
let's
just
also make
calm
sure in
down
the
and
next
get
meeting
the
while he
documents to the right first.
like while he is like the sponsor, he should not be leading this fucking meeting, bro. By no means.
This is the introduction to his stuff. I can lead all the
No,
future
no.
meetings.
Yeah, the next future meeting, he should not be leading them at all.
But it's more like, oh, he's given us no details to work with. Like, I don't know how I would lead this meeting.
No. Like going forward.
Yeah, okay.
Going forward, because this dude seems like the type that would just iterate on his ideas over and over again until it feels like they're really easy to do, but they're not.
Yeah, I feel
Like we'll be convinced by the time he's done that these ideas easy, but they're not.
Yeah.
This is the meeting with him. Sorry. Scheduled with.
Chris.
We should just meet up with Chris.
Oh, the instructor Chris or
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Um,
instructor Chris.
okay. Do we
I
know when
messaged him on Discord. I think he
Oh, you have his
responds
Discord?
more on Discord.
Okay. Yeah. Try that. Okay. So do you guys want to probably call on Discord over the weekend after looking through the documents, and then
Yeah.
we can try to work on the draft together?
I guess what would be really, really nice is we just ask Chris if our project plan can be pushed out a week.
Yeah, that would be even better.
Yeah.
Because
It's next week, not
there's
next
more
week.
time for this than there is.
No, what I think is we can take a little bit more time than you think we can.
It's so much reading.
No, I understand that there's only 14 days till this, not even 14, like 13 days left for this.
12.
Okay.
11-ish.
Okay, 11-ish.
1, 2.
Yeah, so 11 days, 12 days, that's what we have to make this project plan. But we can take at least 5 days for the next week. Take at least 5 days to at least look at the documentation and decide on what we want to give up, right?
Yeah.
We
Like,
can't just give up.
yeah,
from
well,
the start.
like fundamentally, we're just not going to do everything he asked for. He asked for a lot.
Yeah, he did definitely. But then I think he had like 6 things that he wanted us to do, but then we only need to deliver on 3 mainly.
I don't know if he understands that either.
He doesn't need to. We need to.
Okay.
It's for our grades. He's not going to grade us.
All right. Anyways, but like, I guess my sole read of it is that the admin dashboard is like too crucial. Like, this website will not work without it, and I think
Yes,
that just needs to be worked on.
We'll just
And he doesn't. He's
let's go
underplaying
over the
it.
documents and then we can discuss what's more important
Exactly.
first. And
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, it's more like, do we want to walk away with ideas of what he showed us right now or no?
What do you mean?
But like,
What do you mean?
do we want to like ideas of what is doable right now or no?
We have no idea. What to do.
Well, I think we can.
yeah,
we
we
should
have
read
not
the
even
document
seen
first,
the
though.
coding language.
There's like a lot of coding is more conceptual than like the actual coding. Like, languages are closer together than I guess you think they are.
There might be, but then do we really think that all of us can put in an effort to do that?
Yeah.
There's
Like what?
also
You're not
like
the
a
only one voting,
different.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to contribute to this. So if everyone wants some space, then give them some space.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll have a I don't know
we can
Sunday
do that on-
7 p.m.
Yeah. Sunday.
Sure. Okay. Yeah,
Saturday.
I can do that. Okay.
I guess let everybody just decide in the group chat. I think the call.
Even before that, like it doesn't have to be a Sunday. We can even talk before this, like a couple of people, whoever looks over this, right? And then collectively we can decide on something, of course,
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
just to make things easy for us. But
Okay.
All right. All right. See you guys. I have to
All right, bye,
go
Roger.
somewhere.
All right. Peace.
these
Yeah.